Hey everyone, we are live again, and welcome to the 12th free live coding lesson. And yeah, if you're new here, I'm Marta, and I'm the code newbie, and I'm learning to code in AskQL, and I have no prior experience in coding, and my teacher here is Martin Hackmeyer. Martin is a very experienced software developer with experience in Facebook, and yeah, we are here. We are here together. I hope Martin is still here because I can't see him right now. But if you haven't heard about AskQL, it's the new programming and query language, and yeah, Martin is here, so welcome, Martin.
Hello.
Hey. Um, okay. So for the three previous lessons, we talked about the loops, and today we were going to do some more exercises um, in loops. But if you want to do anything else, just let me know. Martin, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Then okay.
Right. So at the previous lesson, we were still using the Star Wars API to get some sample data, and I think this was a quite nice example of how you can fetch information into the CLI and how you can keep using it for different things. And today, what I like to do is pretty a little bit continue, but with a different API to start with. So let me share my screen for a second here.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a little bit different API. It's quite useful for just playing with different tools and creating a front end. This is called JSON Placeholder. So the ways to find it, you just write JSON Placeholder. It's a service. It comes out here as the first thing in Google. So it's a thing that you can just use for fetching some sample information and acting on it. So in the examples, you can see they also use fetch. What they do here is a JavaScript code. So it's a little bit different than what we're gonna do, but the fetch command is works regardless. So if you push try it here, you can see that it comes back with one to do. There is some series of research process. You have posts, comments, albums, photos, to-dos, and users. So I think we're just gonna start with users is something that I can see is a little bit more complicated. It has mostly strings in the data, so maybe not as interesting. So let's take a look at this to-do. To-do seems a little bit more varies, more variety there. There's number and Boolean, so maybe we can try that. So just let's run the CLI and here just copy paste the fetch. Like here, and there we go. Here's the one to do. If this is a REST kind of API, so if you wanted to get more of those objects, then you can do here, like here, and then we get a bunch. So yeah, so this is something that's gonna be a data for our array. So let's call it to-dos. So let's start here, and the purpose of the lesson today will be to do a little bit different filters on this to find out some interesting things about this data. Okay, so back to you. If you could just start with that line in code with the CLI, then I'm gonna give you some lessons to some exercises to do on this.
Okay. Let me share my screen then. Okay. This is it, right? Yeah. Okay. And we're going to the playground. Oh. Okay.
Okay, good job. All right, so we have these to-dos, right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So first of all, like how many to-dos are there in general? How many of those? Do you remember how we check that?
I think it's set to 200.
All right, but how many actually were returned to us? How do we make sure it's 200?
Oh.
There is
scroll it down.
So there is this that's one way to do it. However, yeah, yes, you can see the ID is 200, but actually this doesn't necessarily mean that there is 200 items in the array, because the IDs can be whatever. Here supposedly maybe they are consecutive, but we don't know for sure. So a better way to do it is to use a way to figure out the number of items in the to-dos array. So do you remember how we do it? How do you get a number of items from an array?
You probably can create some kind of a counter, maybe, or there must be quicker way, but I can't remember really what it was.
Right. Okay. So one way to find out, as you remember, is to go into the available resources and to see what's available to us in the playground. So to see what we can use.
Resources built in.
So we need to work with a list. So perhaps in the list, it's gonna be there. Yeah. So there is one called length. This one is it. So if you use if you use the array that you got with the length resource, you should get the count.
Maybe like this. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Good job. So now currently the to-dos is a number, not an array. Something to keep in mind. I think it's more useful if this is array because it allows us to do more stuff with it.
Mm-hmm. So what did you say? Sorry, I didn't.
So here, the way you wrote it, you change the definition of to-dos, right? Because it used to be an array, now it's a number.
Yes.
If you write it in the line below, such as like to-dos colon length, okay. So it gives us the here's the typo.
What is length?
All right. Okay. Okay. Good start. So first of all, the first task is like how many of those to-dos are completed. How would you find out that?
Completed. What do you mean?
If you take a look at the data that you receive, can you take a look again at the data itself? So as you can see, yeah.
We can create a variable here. How many completed? This is 0. And if hold on. If true. Oh, that should be a string probably. And then right, sorry, that's not the one I wanted. How many completed equals how many completed plus 1. If it makes sense, because I'm not sure at all.
So I mean, right. So it seems like there is a couple of things. First of all, this how many completed. Whenever you introduce a new variable, you need to use the keyword.
Oh, true. That's
yeah, I think null is fine. I think like 0 was fine because like how many completed is a number, so this number initially is 0, and probably right. So what's the idea here? Like, because like to-dos, it's an array. So what is completed of an array? What sort of like, if you could walk me through the algorithm here, what's your thinking about this?
So, yeah, now I see it just won't work. But I wanted to tell it to check if the completed is true here, didn't count it as one. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do.
Okay, so what you're dealing with is a whole array of things. It has 200 things inside. That's what you have.
Okay, so for every user of to-dos, right?
So is this to happen inside the if, or what's I mean, are you writing a new program here or just continuing on this one? Because maybe if we start from beginning, like that would be easier, because now I'm getting a little bit confused about.
Yeah. Okay, so am I actually. All right, so we're creating a new variable and it's called how many completed, and it starts at 0, right? And now we want to start with for every user of to-dos.
Why user? Sorry, I was just.
Because how do you call this?
It's a to-do, because a list of those is a to-dos, and to-do is an item. It's like a task on a list.
So for every to-do of to-dos.
So to-do being a new variable, you also will need let or constant. Okay.
And we're gonna check if if this is true, then how many completed equals how many completed plus 1.
Yeah, that looks good.
Looks good. Okay, so I'm just gonna run it and we'll see. Huh, there is a really this is true. So this is true, this is true. What did I do wrong? Let's see. Okay, how many completed starts from 0, right? And for every to-do of to-dos, we're checking if this is true. Maybe there should be a space before. No. What am I doing wrong? Maybe someone can give me a hand. A helping hand. Come on, guys.
Why do you think there is something wrong?
Because it doesn't work. It
Okay.
returns 0.
Right. So what is yeah? So completed is right. Okay. All right. Okay. So that's good.
Thank you, Marta,
So,
sir.
and
Okay.
then like, how many of those were completed and also made by user ID 1? How would you solve that?
Well, I can try to add another counter or something.
So I guess this is more about just adding another condition to it, because now we not only want to know how many were completed, but also how many were completed from this specific user.
So we can probably add it here. If what was it called? I can't remember what it was called. Let's see. Oh. ID. Okay. What are you doing? So if to do ID is 1, then this and it has to end somewhere here. Should be 0. Okay. Looks like it works.
Should that be 0 though?
Yeah, because there is only one user ID with number 1.
I don't think so. I meant, yeah, but I meant like user ID, not the ID. So the user ID tells you which user this one is for. Yeah, okay, I gotta get rid of that one. Yes.
User ID. Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. User ID. 11.
Nice. Okay, so what we have here is like a nice small routine, a nice small snippet of code. So this is something that would be useful to be able to run for different users. So how about we create a function that is gonna take a user ID argument as a number, and we'll do it for and we'll do this computation for the given user. So pretty much everything you have inside the ask statement, you can turn into a function, and that function we can try start calling with different numbers to see how many completed to-dos are for different users.
Okay, you have to.
Yeah. By the way, you got a comment for about the previous problem that's solved already. I'm showing this on the screen now. Yep.
Yeah, true, not true. Yes.
Thank you, Monaster.
Thank you for the comment. That helped me actually. So yeah. So one more time, if you could just tell me what we're doing right now.
Okay, so this is something that we're gonna do quite often in our program to see how many completed to-dos are for given users, right? And now we have all of this code, but this is not easy for us to change, like user ID 2, user ID 3. You sort of need to look into the code here to figure out which one is the correct, where is the correct place to update it. So the way to do it here, I suppose, is to create a function. But do you remember? If you remember creating functions, then we can create a function that takes in a user ID and is gonna return this. Is gonna return this, basically the number of completed items.
So I would probably do it at the beginning.
Yeah.
So function. Check or how would you call it?
Get completed.
Okay, get
for user. That would that basically would be the way.
And it's a function. What do you put here? This user ID.
No, in brackets you have the name of the argument that your function needs.
So what, user ID?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. And this is going to be, this whole thing is going to be our function, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just close it. And now what? I got stuck. What do I do? What do I do? Do I say what's the user ID or like?
Yeah. So now user ID is a value that you can use in your program. So you can replace the one that you have on line 8 with this user ID, because it's going to be given to you when this function is executed.
All right, user ID. Okay.
Okay. So we can run it to test it maybe, or okay. Okay, so this is a this showed up because you didn't actually run the function, right? Because you just gave it the identifier.
Why is that happening?
Every time you have a function, you need to run it. You need to give it arguments.
Oh.
And also your function needs to return data, right? So
return. Oh no, this is not. It's not. Should I put it here? Return this from.
So what I would do, what I would suggest doing first is to clean up the code. So remember when we discussed the curly braces? Every time you open the curly brace, all the stuff inside the curly brace needs to be pushed one space on the right, and that is going to make it easy for you to see where you need to put all of those return statements. So first, let's clean up the formatting here a little bit to have all the nice spaces.
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna happen actually, but let's try. Okay, so then is this thing, then is we have this, and we have this. So this should close here. And this. This should close here. This should close here. And this could be here, maybe.
So that one was good, because as you can see on line 1, you have a curly brace open. So it's always the same rule. Whenever you see an open curly brace, all the contents needs to be pushed right.
Okay. So here should be return get completed.
So Marta, I think the formatting still needs work, because as you can see on line 2, we open up a curly brace. So line 3 is not of the same level than line 2 and 3 are not on the same level. You need to push that, and this is very important, because then you can see that all of this code is inside the get completed for user. Line 6 doesn't need to be pushed, because it's the
Why not?
Because you only do it if you have a curly braces.
Okay. So here it should be, here it should be, here it should be. Now this closes here, this closes here, and this closes here.
Okay.
And the function, and yeah.
So where is this return supposed to be?
Here, not here, not here. So should it be here?
No, return should be on the same level than line 3, 5, and 6, right? Because this is still the function body.
So here.
But I mean, we also pay attention to the to the spacing, right?
But it's on the same.
But it shouldn't be on the same, because the return here is also the body of the function. So all of everything that's inside the function, it's pushed right, so it has a space.
Okay, so here.
It's a really quite simple rule for this. Whenever you have an open curly brace on the line before, then everything below is pushed to the right, and in other case, it goes back. So this allows you very easy to see that, okay, so get completed for users has all this stuff that defines what it is.
Okay, so is it good?
I don't know. So what about the line 14? It seems off for the spacing.
Okay, so here.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So so if we could go back to line, so line 15, I understand. So we just call the get completed for user for this first argument. That's okay. But for line 13, what's going on actually? What are we doing here?
Well, we want to. We want this function to return how many completed tasks were for each user ID. So what? So this is the whole function, and what it should return.
There is a comment for Montasser. Maybe you'll find it helpful.
No, return inside function with return how many completed. That should be before the curly braces of function, not inside the loop. Oh, am I inside the loop still? Return how many completed. Okay. Return how many completed. Yeah. Or should this have return in front of it?
Marta, so programming only makes sense when you're certain about what's going on. So let's not guess here. It's important that you know which line of code does what and why we have it. So that's pretty much the only way to do it, is to understand bottom up what's going on. So let's go one by one to explain what's being done, and then you can maybe figure it out. So the line beginning of our program, it defines a new function, right, called get completed for user. So, we assign it a name, and we say what it is on the right side. So it's a function. it takes arguments. First argument, user ID. You need to provide that as the first argument. So, and then the curly braces. The curly braces is the body on this function. It tells one by one what needs to happen when this function is called.
Yeah.
So first of all, we fetch that data and we save it into to-dos constant. And then we can use to-dos for whatever we want. So then what happens? We create how many completed, a new variable. It starts with 0. That's what it is. Then there is a loop. So the loop works as follows for every to-do item that we call to-do. It's our new term. It's a constant. So it's always going to have the same value inside those curly braces. So pretty much whatever is in the curly braces of the loop is going to run for every to-do. And you can access the current to-do by using the to-do constant. So here is what we do. We run the if condition, so we check if the to-do is completed. And if it is, we enter another condition, another curly brace, and there we check if user ID is to-do user ID is the user ID that was provided inside the argument.
Yeah.
So if both of those apply, then how many completed is gonna be a different value. It's gonna be how many completed plus 1. That's gonna be the new value of it.
Yeah.
So we need the loop to run for all the to-do items.
Yeah.
Right. And only after the loop has ended, then the how many completed is going to have the correct the right value.
So that's okay.
I don't know. So I mean, so it says return how many completed, and it also provides the user ID in the brackets. I'm not sure what you meant by this. The how many completed is a number. It doesn't need arguments. Oh. We only need to provide arguments when you're calling a function.
Okay.
Right.
Right. Well, let's see.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I haven't done functions in a while, so.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let's go. Let's go on with this. Let's add a little bit more to our how get completed for user. So what we want to do now is for it not only to return like how many were completed, but also the name of the user that our task. So we want this function to provide more information about the given user, not only the number of tasks, but also its name. So first of all, first tip that I can give you, like on line 13, instead of returning a number, let's return an object with the how many completed value inside. So you can do it. You can do it easily just by surrounding how many completed with curly braces. And this is gonna tell the CLI that you want to return an object containing the how many completed value. So if you run it, you can see. Okay. Yep. All right, so that's good. So the next thing is we want to add more information to this object, and this more information is supposed to be more information about the user. So if you go back to this JSON placeholder documentation and see if there are ways to get more information about the given user having its ID, then we can use that.
Post comments, to-dos. User ID title, and completed. Users ID. Okay. So we have that in the other data set.
All right. Yeah, in the user's data set, that makes sense. How do you access information about one specific user?
Well, I need to fetch the data from this with the ID, with the number at the end.
Yeah, try that.
Okay, so this will return all the users. So I don't need that.
You can just, yeah, it's all the REST APIs, they follow the common pattern of like slashes to for the route of data. So as you can see, there was a slash users. So if you add slash and then you can probably add slash ID, it's gonna give you the specific one.
Okay, so const users fetch. Okay. I got the first person records displayed.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we need to use that basically in our get completed for user function, so that we also pull the name from that. So yeah. So how would you combine the two?
Oops. There was something with like square brackets, if I remember this correctly.
So here we have an object, right? So yeah. Here we have how many completed. It's an object. So how do you add more information to that object on line 14? So we have how many completed, 11. On line 14, as you can see, this is created with the how many completed variable. you can add a comma after how many completed, and add not this needs to be inside the curly brace.
Okay, yeah. So what was it? ID name?
No, whatever. You just name. You can just say name. Right. But the name is not defined. So if you want this to have a value, you'd need to say colon and give it some value.
Colon.
Whatever. I don't know. What is this users? The users, is this a specific user already, or is this an array?
It's, well, at this point, it's just one user.
So maybe we call it users, user, just so we know it's one.
Right. User.
All right. So in that case, that would be name, colon, and user dot name. That would be it. Here you say, okay, I'm gonna have another thing in my object called name, and here's its value, and you give it colon, and you say what's the value on the right side.
Okay.
Okay. Can you? Right. Let's test it for the user number 2. Yeah, the name doesn't change. How do you make the name change?
Here.
Right. But how do we fix it, right? We already have the user ID coming in the argument, and we need to use it here as well.
So we have to. We need all that data set instead of just one user. And will that work? See, probably not.
No, I mean, Marta, this users is an array. It doesn't have property. It's a collection. It's a list. It's a collection of data. And when you have users, you can ask, give me the first item, second item, or whatever. It's not gonna give you name because it's a list. It's a collection. Doesn't have a name. Its items have names, but not the collection itself.
So what if I create another variable here?
But I mean, what's your idea for this?
Well, I wanted to search only inside the user's name, but it won't work. So
I mean, you had a working code to pull a given. So you have a URL, right? It says user/1.
Yeah.
And you have the user ID. So what you need to do is you need to put the user ID inside this URL. You see, inside this address. You need to be able to see users/ and this user ID to get it.
Here. What?
I mean, so that's basically the idea. We have the ID of the user, and we only want to fetch information about it. So we need to translate this number into the string.
How do I do this? I don't know.
I mean, I suppose we did that with on the previous lesson with the pagination. So anyway, you say concat. Concat is a function that you can use on strings to add more things to it. So you can say this address colon concat and add the user ID there.
This address. Okay, but here or here? On line 15, or which line are we talking about right now? I'm like confused. I don't know.
Do you remember how concat works? What concat gives you? Can you open a new CLI window and show me the concat?
You guys, this is not easy. Not easy. Okay, so a concat.
And in arguments, you say what you want to concat to the string. So
like a B.
Right, and that B can also be a number. So you can place a number there. It's also gonna work. But not in There you go. All right.
Right.
And the other thing that you were trying before but deleted is you can use a concat after the colon. So that's gonna basically make it easier to add to an existing value.
So like a concat and whatever. Oh, whoa, yeah. What happened here? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, good. So do you see how we can use that inside our program?
Well, I know how concat works, but I'm not sure where you want me to write it.
So online for there is a fixed ID, right? And we want that to come from the user ID, not the fixed number. So we need to concatenate this URL with the user ID.
Concat. But without this one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No.
How do you? Okay, how is this run again? Can you return just the URL that was created for us to see what's going on?
I can just comment this out maybe.
So I mean, can you? So this it seems like there is a problem on online. Oh yeah, it has to do with the curly braces again, because you commented out the curly brace that is. Can you comment out the? You cannot comment out the calling of the function because now it's.
Right. This one we don't need because I moved this. I'm just gonna delete this. Oh.
Okay, I'm not sure what was going on before, but yeah. Okay, seems like it works.
Okay. Well, great success. It wasn't
So
easy.
what we did here, we combined data from two fetches into one fetch.
Hello? Are you here?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we combine data from two fetches here, as you can see, in an useful way. So this get completed for user is a function that you could use in your program to like displace this in the UI or yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay, you guys. Let's see if there are any comments. I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen and let's see. Yes, thank you, Montasser. You're my best friend. Thanks for all the help. Um, yeah, that's what I finally managed to do. So yeah, thanks. All right, so that's it for today. Thank you very much. Hope you learned something. I know I did. So thank you guys very much, and hope to see you soon. Marta, do
Okay,
you?
thanks guys.
Thank you, and you guys have a wonderful evening, and see you soon.